Hey y'all, in today's video I'm going to be using my new CNC to make a giant sign for one of my favorite YouTubers. Double Jump Video Games is a daily vlog based around operating a video game store. The store has been open for a little over 4 years now, and the owner, Cooper, has been daily vlogging the whole process, starting before the store even opened. As a lifelong entrepreneur and an avid retro video game collector, I really love watching these videos. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, you might not know what this thing is, so let me explain. This is the Maslow M2 by MakerMade. It is a CNC. The way this works is you make a G-code file with whatever you want to cut out and upload it into the Maslow system. Then it runs along this cord and runs into this box here, which contains an Arduino. An Arduino is basically a really small computer. It's powered by this black cord here, and then it has these 3 cords that are covered in mesh that run the motors. So one motor is up there, the other motor is over here on the other side, and each motor has a sprocket on it and a chain that is attached to the sled. The sled contains the Z-axis and the router. This is the Z-axis here, which runs to that cord, and if you go up here, you'll see the little threaded rod that allows the router to go in and out. The chains up here allow the router to go left and right and up and down, based on whatever you told it in the G-code. I use a special router bit for a CNC. That's an 1/8 inch bit, and the one on top here is an 1/8 inch bit, and the one on the bottom here is a 1/4 inch bit. I'm still very new to this, and because it's going to be a surprise, I didn't have any access to any other photos besides the logo on their website. Luckily, I was able to hire someone off of Fiverr to make the G-codes for me. I do plan on getting Photoshop sometime in the future and figuring out how to do this all on my own, but I just didn't have time for this project. The material I'm going to use for this project is 3/4 inch MDF plywood. After setting up my CNC, it was time for the first cut. I ended up doing this around 7 p.m. after work on a Wednesday, and after over an hour of cutting, I got the back outline cut out. It was around 8:30 at night by the time that back outline was cut out, so I broke down my CNC so that I could bring my van back in for the night. Then I got set up and started cutting out the words the next day. While the CNC was cutting out the words, I started prepping the piece that I cut out the day before. I started by using a flush trim bit to cut out the tabs that held it in place so that it didn't just fall out while being cut by the CNC. Then I went and had some lunch and just let it do its thing. This machine makes me even more sure that I'm not built to be a parent. I just stared at it for hours making sure it didn't die. I feel like if I had kids I would just watch them sleep to make sure they didn't die until I went insane. To keep myself occupied, I started the sanding process. I sanded down the edges using a combination of a sanding block, 2 types of emery boards, and a piece of sandpaper wrapped around a pencil. The pencil was great to get into all the little nooks and crannies. I sanded for almost an hour, and when I was done sanding, the CNC still had another hour to go. It took almost 4 hours in total to cut out all the words. And you know I had to lay it out and see how it was going to look before I did any more work on it. Looks like it's going to be good. Then I had to cut, router, and chisel all of the tabs off of the words. I made sure to mark which side of this triangle was the back so I didn't accidentally glue it on the wrong way. It took over an hour to sand inside all of these tight little spaces. The emery boards were an invaluable tool on this project. I picked them up on Amazon for just a couple of bucks. They're usually used for filing fingernails, but they work great for these tight little spaces. After sanding everything down, I added some sanding sealer because these are made out of MDF, and MDF is just a bunch of soft wood fibers squished together, and it makes them hard to be sanded. Sanding sealer makes the fibers hard and sandable. I did the back side and the edges first, and I added a second coat to the edges and one coat to the front of all the pieces. After the sanding sealer dried, I sanded everything down one more time, this time rounding off the top edge of all the pieces. After sanding, I broke out a painting tint and painted the back outline black and the words white. I did 3 coats of each. For most signs like this, I would be able to just spray paint them like this or with a paint sprayer, and that would be that. But the Double Jump logo has a very intricate paint job, so I had to call in my wife's best friend to help do all the fine detail painting. A pro painting tip from an amateur painter is to get the Color Perfect app from Home Depot, and then you can go on the app and select a photo. Then when you select a photo, you can click on a piece of that photo and it'll tell you what color that is, and then you can just get a sample size for that from the Home Depot for like $5, and then you don't have to mix your own paint. After almost 5 hours of painting, it was done and I was super excited to get it assembled. But before I could assemble it, I had to cut out a template on my CNC so that I would know where to glue the words so that they wouldn't be lined up all weird. Although I was really excited to get it assembled, I realized it would be easier to seal if the pieces were separate, so I used my Wagner paint sprayer and went with a satin polyacrylic finish. I applied 3 coats and let them dry for at least an hour in between each coat. After lining up the words with the template, I used some painter's tape to mark out where each word would go. I then used super glue and its activator to glue the words down. Then I flipped the sign over and pin nailed the words from the back and used some screws to really make sure the words never fall off. I decided I didn't like how the satin finish looked, so I ended up adding 2 coats of semi-gloss finish, and it looks way better in my opinion. After the 2 coats of semi-gloss dried, I added a French cleat to the back of the sign. This way it can easily be mounted to a wall. Because I'm shipping this from where I live in Austin, Texas to the Double Jump store in Vancouver, Washington, I made some custom foam packaging to make sure it arrives safely. In case you were wondering what it's like to router foam, it's like this. I had to carve out the inside a little bit with the Dremel, but it ended up fitting perfectly. I did it! I made my first sign. It turned out awesome. I love how it turned out. I'm excited to make more cool stuff in the future like this. If you want to see that stuff, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it, and go check out my other older videos where I made other cool stuff. Thanks for watching. Alright, so it's been a few days, but it looks like my package has been delivered to the store, so they will probably be opening that here anytime now. They're pretty good about opening packages like this on camera, so hopefully we can get a reaction from them on their channel. So I will leave that video in the description of this video when they post it. Thanks again for watching. Bye!